FCT Brief, a segment of TVC Breakfast Show and we are live in our Abuja studio. Today on the program, we will be taking a special look at President Bola Tinubu's second year in office, from economic reforms to security challenges and a bold push for renewed hope. In a few weeks from now, it will be exactly 2 years since President Bola Tinubu took the oath of office as Nigeria's 16th president, pledging to renew hope and transform the nation. His presidency began with bold economic steps, most notably the removal of fuel subsidy and the unification of the exchange rates. These decisions, hailed by some as long overdue, also triggered a sharp rise in the cost of living and widespread public discontent. Unemployment and inflation remain major concerns, but government officials say the reforms are beginning to attract renewed investor interest and positive boosts for local industries. On the security front, progress has been uneven. While some insurgent strongholds in the northeast have been weakened, new threats have emerged from banditry in northwest to growing unrest in the southeast.
In governance, Tinubu's administration has emphasized digital transformation, civil service reforms, and judicial independence. Looking ahead, the administration has unveiled ambitious plans which include expanding power generation, driving industrial growth, and pushing for regional leadership in West Africa, among others. As President Tinubu marks his second year in office, expectations remain high. Nigerians are watching closely, hopeful that promise will turn to progress and that a stronger, more inclusive nation will emerge. Now together, let's review the challenges, the gains, and prospects of President Tinubu's tenure as the administration prepares to celebrate its second anniversary. And to help us do that, we have two gentlemen in the studio. The Southeast leader of the Tinubu Support Group, Dr. George Agbakahi. And also we have with us an APC chieftain, Fatai Adesokan. Gentlemen, it's good to have you in our studio this morning.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right. Mr. Agbakahi, I'd like to start with you. It's been a bumpy ride for the President Tinubu, and even in his first few months in office, he didn't have it quite so smooth. But now that it's been 2 years in, would you say Nigerians can see real signs of that renewed hope promise?
Thank you again for having me. I believe President Tinubu, almost 2 years in office, has been great. I remember when President Tinubu came on board. Even before he came on board, there were a lot of challenges facing this country, particularly in the area of economy and national security. But however, when he came in, he took very bold and ambitious decisions. First, by obliterating, the fuel subsidy and the unification of the foreign exchange rate. Those were major policies that has brought this country in positive light. And since then, there has been a lot of initiatives the president has put in place. For example, look at student loan. As we speak, 54 billion has been disbursed in respect of student loan, both to the universities in respect of tuition and also for students in respect of stipend. But apart from that, there are so many areas, Look at in the area of employment opportunities. The president believes that it's not the government duty alone to provide employment opportunities, but he has created the enabling environment, for the private sector to participate in the provision of employment opportunities. There has been the Nigerian Youth Investment Fund with about 110 billion naira, and many youths are getting involved, collecting soft loan, 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, even up to 20 million. The Bank of Industry has done a lot. It has disbursed 110 billion naira, to small-scale industries.
Okay. That's good to hear some of the positives of this administration. Now, Mr. Bishop, what would you say are the positives? You're an APC man. What would you say are the positives you've seen so far, 2 years down the line of this administration?
Thank you very much. I think Mr. President had actually been deliberating quite in the last 2 years, and it was actually been decisive. When we are talking about Lee Kuan Yew of Singapore, it was tough decisions. The reason I actually thank you, the TVC crew here, talking about reviewing challenges, gains, and prospects. We are now seeing the result of the real economy itself, not artificial concepts, unlike what we've been doing in the last couple of 24 years. We've been living on subsidy. Yes, the pains actually came to us, and Nigeria are now actually being pushed over. But by and large, we are now seeing the real effects of positive concept of economic development, that we are now living the way it should, not imaginary, the economy is coming and we are now eating our air, so to speak. But for me, it has been a tough decision from the presidency and even the citizens. We are bearing the brunt, but there are gains ahead in due course.
Well, you heard when your fellow guest here highlighted some of the achievement of President Bola Tinubu, yes, despite some stringent implications about, yes, that. Removing fuel subsidies and merging the exchange rate were bold moves by the administration, and that did not come easy, especially on Nigerians. Looking back, do you think the government planned well, to absorb the shocks that Nigerians felt?
We cannot shy away from that responsibility. The reason I mentioned Lee Kuan Yew, Mr. President took tough decisions for we to be on the right path, just like our parents. They took those tough decisions in primary school. Some of us, we never wanted to go to primary school, wanted to be at home. But they actually chased us, go to school. But today, you and I, we are conversing better, listening to ourselves. But by and large, we believe that government will not rest at this juncture because things are not smiling. That's the reality on ground. The government keep on engaging us. In the last 2, 4, 5 weeks, we've been seeing Minister of Information engaging us through the ministers. And 2 days ago, we saw the Minister for Defense telling us about banditry, the gains so far. Minister for Power, Nigerian Minister for Power, Bayo Adelabu, was also there last week telling us about power supply, the epilepsy in power supply, what are the 4 trillion naira debt is there. The minister highlighted what are the challenges and what are the gains of, and the federal government own up to themselves that they need to settle the 4 trillion naira debt so Nigeria can have regular power supply. You will not forget that we actually unbundled the power sector during the Ebele Jonathan administration. So Nigerians should not forget in a hurry that we've been having these issues. We inherited epileptic economy. That's the truth. And unfortunately, our government we are a party in government in the last 10 years, and we cannot be giving excuse to Nigerians at the same time. But by and large, we need to engage Nigerians who are the critical stakeholders of the Nigerian project. That these are the realities on ground. We are seeing the books, and we are now telling you, subsidy had been removed before Tinubu came into power. We were all at Eagle Square. He only emphasized that subsidy was gone, that I didn't meet subsidy on ground. So I believe governments need to communicate. We need more of communications. And kudos to the Minister for Information, gathering his colleagues and telling us the situation of things, where it is, where we are going, and that is what exactly Nigerians actually desire from us.
Okay. Mr. Bakari, let me come to you. Yeah, it's good we enumerate the positives, but when you ask the ordinary man on the streets, despite the positives you have enumerated, what is happening on their table seems to be the overriding focus of a lot of people. The cost of living is so high. And when the president removed the subsidy, I think that was what really changed a lot of things. Even the foreign exchange went to, I think, over 1,600 to US dollar. Yeah, it has. It's just about 1,500 now. But also the other aspect is the price of fuel jumped up also. Yeah, we've seen it reduce. do you think between now, because there's a major election also around the corner, which is 2027 election, do you see this policy helping to further reduce the cost of fuel so that at the end of the day, since it's the trigger of the economy, things can come down?
Definitely, it is work in progress. The economy keep getting better. Mind you, one of the major outcomes of the removal of petrol subsidy is the fact that the FAC allocation to states has increased exponentially to 300%. Some states that used to get 5 billion monthly, some of them are getting 15 billion now. And in that respect, they've been able to shoulder, some of the activities of the state. Since President Tinubu came on board, we've never heard about any state that is still owing salaries of workers. You see what I mean? Even some states have also used that opportunity to pay some of their local and international debts. So a lot is happening. You see, look at food prices are also coming down. The president has done a whole lot in the area of agriculture. Over $1 billion has been spent, in providing fertilizers. There has been mechanized farming. There has been dry farming in areas like Jigawa, in Kansina, and environs. So that is what a lot is happening. I believe the upcoming election in 2027, it will be predicated, on the achievements of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Forget about what we hear that people are defecting. We know it's good to defect, but his performance in office, is what will determine, whether he wins the election. And definitely he has done a whole lot.
Okay.
All right, we'll continue the conversation, but that will be right after this short break. Don't go anywhere. We still have more for you on the program. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Life is politics. In Nigeria, almost every part of our life is touched by the politics we play. Governance, legislative matters, the economy, security, foreign affairs, internal affairs.
Naira, while the minor unit is the kobo, they are both in notes and coins. The Naira is more than just a medium of exchange. It bears the images of our heroes. So, stop abusing the Naira. It is a criminal offense to spray the Naira at events. Stop stepping on the Naira. It's not your enemy. Do not squeeze, ruffle, or write on the Naira. Handling the Naira with dirty or oily hands can deface the Naira. Love the Naira as you love yourself. Be a real Nigerian.
This message was brought to you by the National Orientation Agency, NOA.
We're glad to have you back. You're still watching TVC Breakfast, and this is FCT Brief. We're still discussing 2 years of President Tinubu's administration, and we still have with us in the studio Dr. George Agbakahi and also Fatai Adesokon. Now, Mr. Agbakahi, I would like to ask you, insecurity is making a comeback, and from banditry to kidnapping, this is still a big concern for many states. We hear the National Assembly, talk about a national security summit. And, even the Minister of Defense dismissed that, saying that this is not what the country needs at the moment. Would you say that our security forces are overwhelmed by the situation, or, the morale is just low?
Truly, the issue of insecurity is one of the major challenges that the administration is facing. Although insecurity has been a major characteristic, of this country since 1999. It didn't just start today. You remember vividly during Yaradua, Jonathan time, there was a time terrorists, Boko Haram people, held up to onto 7 or 8 local governments in Borno states. We don't see things like that today. But however, we'll all understand the issues of insecurity in the country, the Boko Haram in the northeast, the farmers' herders conflict in the north central, the IPOB issues in the southeast, as well as incessant banditry and kidnapping. This has been going on for quite some time, but I believe that the current administration has been trying to curtail some of these anomalies. According to news reports, the Nigerian military has been able to neutralize, I think about 12,000, planned terrorist attacks. They've been able to rescue about 9,800, people that were captured by terrorists, and also according to news reports, over 125,000 Boko Haram, they've surrendered to government. I think the president is trying. The main issue to me is the issue of farmers' herders conflict, and that's where the president, as we all know, called a meeting of the service chiefs. I think that was last week, because himself is also concerned about this issue.
Okay. Just so we'll call back to you. Still on security, Mr. Adeshokran. Now, going into an election, I know security is one thing Mr. President want to breast the tape with, that look have done well in this aspect. Now, if you look at the resurgence of Boko Haram, if you look at the crisis in Benue State, in Plateau State, now, what people talk about redrawing our security architecture. Now, what are those things you will expect that the government should begin to do as we close the second year and start the third year in office? What are those major steps you will expect?
I believe Mr. President himself needs to be deliberate about that. We can't actually fold our arms where we have this perennial crisis, particularly Benue Plateau you mentioned. You've been having communal clashes in those areas. Elders, farmers clashes, reprisal attack, coming from Gidanwaya in Kaduna State, going to Bukuru, Jos. You'll be praying to God to let you get to Jos in time. And the same way, Abuja, Lafia, Kwanga, here, going to Makodi. So those are the places I believe National Security Advisor under the presidency should look inward in that direction. We are party in government. We want Nigerians to feel dividend of democracy. And in that regard, Nigerians will actually smile ahead of the elections. And these banditry, pockets of banditry and there in Northwest Zone, Mr. President just arrived from Katsina State. Unlike before, Kaduna to Kano, Zaria, Kano is not movable any time of the day. But today, we can actually close our eyes and be in your vehicle and go to Zaria, Kano, Kaduna. Reminding of this area, this axis, Katsina going to Daura, then going to Upper, is not possible any longer. But now we are actually seeing the results in that direction. If people cannot move on the road, then we don't have a country at hand. There is no country across the globe that is immune of attack. We had what happened September 11 in the US, Pentagon, World Trade Center, July 2001 bombing in London. So Brussels in Belgium. But we should not be an isolated country where things will not be moving for citizens not to move around freely. Look at Abuja. Our first headquarters was attacked here. So I believe it was fallout of Boko Haram insurgency that was not well managed. In 2009, in Borno, Maiduguri, when we had Yusuf, there was counter-claims between the army and the police when Yusuf was captured. So Nigerians have to be deliberate, particularly Mr. President. We need to be deliberate in our decision-making so that we will not be repeating what has fallen us in the past. Security is the key component of governance that we can, in fact, is the key indicator of economic prosperity in any country across the globe.
Well, some Nigerians believe that the appointment under President Tinubu's administration have not reflected the country's diversity. Should the president take a second look and make adjustments? I
disagree with such, not Nigerians, it's just a section of the political opponents trying to target the presidency. Mr. President, with all due respect, is a Lagosian, and some of us that have affinity with Lagos is a cosmopolitan area. And when he was Lagos State Governor, he appointed an Igbo man, with all due respect to Mr. Agbakaye, as Commissioner for Budget and Economic Planning, Ben Akabweze. And sort of Ijo Igbokwe was spokesperson for the party for donkey years in Lagos. So a character like Tinubu will not actually promote such divisive appointments. What people are saying, some of our people are expecting appointment. Everybody cannot be appointed in government. Yes, people deserve to be rewarded for their efforts for the party and for the country. But by and large, it has to be dismissed. It's just section of the political opponents trying to target and rubbish image of the government. Nothing of so in that regard. It's not possible. The Constitution spelled it out. Each of the states of the Federation shall have a nominee at the Federal Executive Council. How can you say a president? No, it's not possible. He's a Lagosian, and we don't do that in Lagos.
Okay, Doctor, let me come to you with this. You're from the Southeast, and Southeast is perceived to be a zone that is not too friendly with even the previous government, and then this government inheriting that burden. Mr. President visited Anambra, and it was like he had a rousing reception. There was a rousing reception for him. Now, why do you think the Southeasterners seem to have that perception of this administration? Or do you think it's just newspaper reports that he's not been celebrated in the Southeast?
Well, I think is a wrong assumption, and in fact ironical, to say that the president is not, acceptable, to the Southeast. I think the APC as a government has made tremendous inroad in the Southeast. After all, the governor of Ebonyi State is APC. The current governor in Imo State is APC. Even though Anambra State is APGA, but the current governor, Soludo, in my view, has really demonstrated, tremendous, affinity, with the center, So I think the point is this. Mind you, in the last election, when Peter Obi, who is a son of the soil in the Igbo area, was there, it even helped the APC. Because, in the past, Southeast has always been a traditional stronghold of PDP. And now that PDP has fallen a little backward, I think you see what will happen. APC will make inroad. The deputy speaker of the House is an APC person from Abia State. And he's also making inroad. See, let me tell you, election is pretty dynamic, and we have almost 2 years to go. Any person that is telling you that the president will not make tremendous incursion in the Southeast, to me, is being disingenuous. I think he will do that.
Well, Mr. Adesokon, Oyo State is a PDP state, and I see the APC is working to, take over power in 2027 from the PDP. APC is taking over power from the PDP in Oyo State. How difficult is that task?
It's not difficult. It's challenging, and it's surmountable. And the APC in Oyo State has actually realized we've been out of power for 8 years. Since the demise of our leader, former Governor Biola Jimobi. And we had gubernatorial election and we lost. And no thanks to internal crisis that we had. But by and large, we have a president from the Southwest who is much more interested in having a uniform party platform in Southwest. So we are actually being a good state of chasing out through the ballots incumbent governments in Oyo State. His Excellency Governor Seyi Makinde. He knows that. And we have arrays of aspirants from Akeem Agbaje Esquire, Senator Fatai Buhari, and
it's not a time to talk about those aspirants now. But you see, my colleague asked that how difficult, because reports are there that this present governor in Oyo State is a performing governor.
And that's a perception in the outward day. We live in Ibadan, we live in Oyo State, Shaki, Aguare, Ogbomoso, Ibarapa. He has actually tried his best. Yes, nobody that wants to become a governor and not want to do something better. But we in the opposition, seeing the lacuna in those performances, how can you expect a governor that went to borrow 16 billion naira to build motor garages? And you cannot fulfill that construction. We have Iwo Road that is not completed. The challenge is not up to 500 million naira. But we are coming to that. By the time election is coming near, you see, just that some of our people are saying, oh, they want to anoint a candidate for us in APC. No. Nobody will come and impose. Former Minister of Communications, my father from Shaki, said Adelabu was imposed in 2019. No, far from the truth. I don't believe what they are saying in the media. Adelabu was not imposed in 2019. That was part and parcel of that when Ajimobi was there. There was a shadow election within the ESCOs. Adelabu had 17 votes. The secretary of the party, Mojid Olaoya, is alive. Akin Oke is alive. Another election was actually done again. And there was a contest at Adamasingba Stadium. Nia Akintola SAN, he actually stepped down. Joseph Tegbe stepped down. Many of them stepped down. Akala was absent. Later, Lawakala. And Adelabu became the candidate, nothing like imposition. In 2023, there was internal wrangling. Even though in Abuja here, Mr. President struggled his way at the Eagle Square. So everybody struggled, and no doubt somebody has to be the candidate. And we lost the election to internal wrangling. But this time around, nobody is going to be anointed or appointed or imposed. We go to poll, then better candidate will emerge. I can tell you, take it to the bank. APC, Gospel Alive, will win Oyo State.
Definitely keep our eye on that. Well, the president has made several international trips to attract investment, but the announcements have been seen. Well, not a lot of Nigerians will still argue out, the real benefits of this trip. They are yet to see, real actions being taken. What would you say are the real substantial signs that these trips have benefited Nigeria?
Yusuf, thank you very much. And I think the villa has to be deliberate without sounding immodest. The communication platform of the presidency must be well equipped and engage Nigerians, and so that they can actually tell them what is actually going. Investment, when you go out, but it doesn't come the next week or the following day. We are not having investment of 10,000 billions of dollars. It comes in phases. Even this money will not just be brought through the plane. It has to come to the CBN. So it's coming, and you will see Nigerian image across the globe. It has now changed drastically to certain level, unlike before. So people are now saying that prosperity in our country, and that is what democracy is all about. Democracy emphasizes dividends of democracy. Unfortunately, in a couple of years in this country, we've been having challenging economically since 1999, when Obasanjo came in 2003, when Yar'Adua came. But I think this is the first time we're having a deliberate character at the villa, being decisive. Like I mentioned, Lee Kuan Yew, people will actually Google it out.
Okay, I think in this particular area, foreign direct investment, I think the administration has also done a whole lot. It has not been very easy. But I think to date, there has been about $50 billion proposed, foreign direct investment in the country. Like he said, is a steady movement. But it will come to pass.
Let me just quickly ask you this before we go. Talking about a lot of PDP and some other people coalescing into the APC. Does it trouble your mind that your party having all this influence? There's a possibility that these people might come in and create. People say the APC might have an implosion. Do you see that coming?
Well, I don't really see it in that respect. Like I had said earlier on, politics is very dynamic. And it's also all about interest. The defection of the governor of Delta State, as well as the former governor, I think is a big boost, for APC. And you see, it's not only in Delta State. There has been pockets of defections. Just quite recently, a prominent NMPP senator in Kano State, Senator Somaila, has just defected to APC. The only House of Rep member, NMPP, in Jigawa State, Honorable Jamala, has defected. You see, that is what is happening. But to me, I believe these defections are a strong affirmation of the renewed hope agenda of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and is a demonstration, in my view, is a demonstration of the faith and trust all these defectors have on President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And you will see this election, to me, it may not be a very tough election. That's why you see all these PDP people, El-Rufai, Atiku, blah, 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 trying to form a coalition. But the coalition has failed. Now they are going to a shadow government. A shadow government, which is an aberration in presidential politics. Right. Have you ever seen a shadow government in presidential politics? Something they cannot win through the ballot box. They cannot win through forming a realignment or coalition. Now they want to form a shallow. It's very disingenuous on them trying to form a shallow government in a presidential system of government.
All right, Mr. Adesakon, final words in 10 seconds.
I believe Nigerians will work for Nigerians, and democracy is expensive. We thrive on democratic culture, and we should jealously guide this democracy. Nigeria kuni baje lagbara Ọlọ́run.
Well, that's how we'll leave the conversation this morning. We must thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us on the program this morning. It was a delight speaking with you.
Thank you very much for having us here.
Well, that's our conversation for today. We will bid you farewell for the week. And now we will hand you over to our Lagos studio, where Veronica and the rest of the crew are standing by to continue with the rest of the show.
I see you're excited that the week is over, TJ, but thank you for that excitement.
Thank God it's Friday.
Very, very excited.
All right.